One Piece Chapter 948. So compared to the last three chapters that we've got, this certainly wasn't exciting as those, I guess I'll say, but it wasn't a bad chapter by any means. It just didn't have, like, the significance that the others had. I mean, we got some plot progression, at least for the current arc, and we got some cool reveals, but, you know, not too bad, so let's get into it. So first of all, on the cover page, we're seeing that Veggie has made it out of Whole Cake alive, and that's pretty cool. He's like one of those characters that really benefited from that arc, because afterwards, I mean, he certainly became one of my personal favorite supernovas, but, you know, he really had the development on his side, which he was lacking before that. So this is also giving us hope that Jinbei is definitely alive. I mean, I think we all assume that Jinbei has made it out of there, because if he hasn't, that'd be super anticlimactic and really sad. I mean, we specifically remember Luffy was like, come and meet me in Wano. So it's very likely that Jinbei is going to show up during the war. Like what I said, we all expect it. So, I mean, I just think this is further supplementing that it's very likely we're going to see Jinbei. We're also further seeing Luffy develop his advanced armament haki, which is pretty cool because this is definitely like the power-up that he needs. I mean, it's already been established that he needs this in order to even remotely have a chance of taking down Kaido. So this is like the training arc continued. I mean, it started ever since he originally went to Udon. And we're seeing that it's definitely not over yet. I mean, he's going to have to go through all of these guys. Even after I think this chapter is over, he's probably going to still continue further developing the advanced haki, because even out on this first page, he's like, I failed again, but, you know, he's going to keep trying because he has all of these quote-unquote practice dummies here. Because in the previous arc we saw him, he developed observation haki. He got that to a pretty high level, you know, probably Yonko Commander level objectively, I guess. And at this point, he's going to have the advanced armament haki, the haki push, the haki blast, whatever you want to call it. And then, I guess, he's going to be able to compete with Kaido somewhat. I mean, it's really hard to imagine that at this point, despite of the training that he's receiving here and the eventual power-up that he's going to get. But aside from that, I also assume that his next haki power-up is going to be the Conqueror's haki, and it's likely going to happen in the next arc, or the next big arc, which we assume is going to be Elbaf, where he'll likely take on Shanks, you know, considering the order of progression, knowing that this is the Yonko saga. And we remember that Shanks was one of the first real people to exemplify, like, insane Conqueror's haki, like when he was walking on Whitebeard's ship. And the dudes were just passing out just simply from being in his vicinity. So I guess Shanks, more or less, is going to help him develop the Conqueror's aspect, and we're going to see how far that can go, because I assume the next level of that. But anyway, we're seeing the prisoners turn on him and try to hold him down and restrain him, and this is pretty realistic, in my opinion. Like, I can't help but relate to these dudes, because they're right. They're like, what are we even going to do if we do break out of here? There's no way we could take down Kaido, and we really don't have anything to go back to. But also, this is like, I guess, development on Luffy, because he's oddly staying quiet here. Like, he's not like, yo guys, we're going to make it out of here, we're going to do this and whatnot. He's more or less like, I guess, wants to prove to them that they do have a chance of getting out of there, rather than just trying to talk them up, because even then, like, is that just going to change their minds, you know? So then we're coming to the first of two big reveals in this chapter, and that is the reveal of Kawamatsu. We're finally seeing him, and as expected, he is a Kappa, which they have been implying this whole entire time. So he's like a human frog turtle hybrid thing. You know, it's like a part of the mythical lore of Japanese culture. But also, it's revealed that he is a sumo wrestler. But not only that, he is the previous Yokozuna. In the beginning of this arc, we met the current Yokozuna that Luffy took care of. But I guess this guy is like the true Yokozuna, more or less. But interestingly enough, if we go all the way back, like more than 10 years ago, back in Water 7, we met a frog by the name of Yokozuna. So maybe this means there's like a correlation between this frog race and the sumo style. Now, of course, Kawamatsu doesn't exactly look like Yokozuna, the frog creature from Tom's crew back in Water 7, but maybe he's like a descendant of him. Maybe Kawamatsu is like what happens when one of these frog creature people mate with a normal person, and then we get like the hybrid. Kind of like, you know, the the fishmen, whatever they've been doing with their interbreeding stuff. You know, maybe it could be something like that. But I also think that whatever the Yokozuna frog dude from Water 7, how he learned his sumo, I assume it's all connected, and that's how Kawamatsu knows his sumo style. Possibly. But staying on Kawamatsu, we see him use the Kappa sword style, and I'm assuming that this is showing that he also has advanced armament haki, like the force push thing that Luffy's been trying to learn this whole arc, that he's been learning from Hyogoro. It seems like he could do this with his sword too, and it makes sense because I assume if all of the 9 Red Scabbers, if not most of them, have this crazy style of haki, because some of the 9 Red Scabbers that we've seen so far are already like Yonko Commander level, so it makes sense that they would have this. I mean, if Hyogoro has this, it makes sense that Kawamatsu has it too. Also, this is another person that could possibly help Luffy further advance his skills in this technique too, so we've got that. But aside from all that, it's also revealed why Queen is called the Plague here, because apparently he's a skilled craftsman that loves creating mechanical weapons. So based off that, we can assume that he made his own mechanical arm that we saw on him. And also just infectious diseases too, just dabbles in that. So we're seeing that he creates the excitement bullets that we see here being fired by Daifugu. So yeah, just more scumbaggery to Queen, why not? So then Raizo reveals himself, and we're seeing that he is a rival to Fukurokuchu, the guy with the testicular ear lobes that we saw earlier in this arc. So I guess this is setting up who Raizo is going to fight in the war. But then also we're getting the second huge reveal, and it's that Okiku is a guy. And that's a surprise to me, but we knew all along that there was something off about Okiku, because Zoro initially alludes to this with his encounter with Okiku, and also now it makes sense why Kinemon wasn't like head over heels when Okiku hugged him. So that whole, connection there is making more sense now. And apparently just Okiku is like the most beautiful swordsman in Wano country, so that's why he can pass as a female to everyone else. But, I mean, I'm not going to go into gender politics here. Okiku could be whatever they want. I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. I think it's a pretty cool character development here. But this is how Okiku, like most of the other 9 Red Scabbers who weren't in prison, this is how they were able to hide in plain sight, more or less. But then we see them put on the Oni mask, the demon mask, and that's pretty cool. It's like fully revealing themselves by putting on a mask. But yeah, that's the chapter, and we see at the end here the full team has come together, the prison liberation team. We've got Luffy, Hyogoro, Kawamatsu, Okiku, and Raizo, all in their exposed form. So I guess we're probably going to get like a few more chapters of them cleaning up the prison here, releasing everyone and then completing Luffy's training. But also, unfortunately, we are going on a break next week. It seems like this is just going to be the way how things are from now on. Like, Oda will do 3 chapters on and then 1 chapter off. Not to stress him too much because we know he has a history with that. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this chapter in the comments. And if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A video that I do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.